Every morning at 6:15, before the bakery opened, the stray dog sat at the corner of 5th and Maple. Not begging, not searching, just sitting. His gray muzzle pointed toward the crosswalk, ears slightly forward, as if listening for something only he could hear. The winter air made his breath visible in small clouds. His fur, once brown, had faded to the color of old newspapers. People walked past him with their coffee, their phones, their hurried lives. Some glanced, most didn't. A few assumed he was waiting for scraps from the bakery, but he never looked at the door. He only watched the crosswalk, morning after morning, the same spot, the same position, the same quiet, unshakable focus. No one stopped to wonder what a dog could be waiting for with such patience. No one thought to ask why his eyes never left that empty street. Margaret used to walk that route every morning. Used to, before the accident took her husband Daniel 3 years ago. Before the house became too quiet. Before she stopped setting 2 cups for coffee. She was 68 now, and her days had shrunk to almost nothing. Wake up, stare at the ceiling, move through rooms that echoed. She'd stopped going to book club, stopped answering when neighbors asked how she was doing. The garden Daniel had loved and now grew wild and forgotten. She'd even stopped walking their old morning route, the one they'd taken together for 15 years. Every morning at 6:15, they used to cross 5th and Maple, heading to the park. Daniel would hold her hand. They'd talk about nothing important. Weather, birds, what to have for dinner. Small things that felt enormous now that they were gone. Margaret hadn't crossed that intersection in 3 years. She took a different route now, a longer one that avoided memories. But lately, even that felt pointless. She'd started wondering what she was walking toward, or if she was just walking away. The dog had a scar across his left shoulder. Old wound, healed badly. His right ear had a notch missing from some long ago fight or accident. He wasn't young, maybe 8, maybe 10. Hard to tell under the matted fur and tired eyes. Shop owners shooed him away from their doorsteps. Joggers crossed the street to avoid him. A woman once threw her coffee lid at him when he got too close to the outdoor seating. He learned to keep distance. He didn't beg at the bakery, though the owner sometimes left stale bread in the alley. He barely touched it. Food wasn't why he came. Every morning, same time, same spot, the dog would sit at that corner and watch. Staff arriving for opening shifts noticed him. "Still there," they'd say. "Weird dog." Some thought he was brain damaged. Others figured he'd been abandoned there and was too stupid to leave. No one considered that he might be remembering. That 3 years ago, a kind man used to stop at that exact corner every morning, kneel down, scratch behind his ears, and share half a breakfast sandwich. The man always crossed at 6:15, always smiled, always came back. Until one day, he didn't. Margaret's new route had construction that Tuesday. Detour signs forced her back toward 5th and Maple. Her chest tightened as she approached the intersection she'd avoided for 3 years. She kept her eyes down, focusing on the pavement. That's when she noticed him, the dog, sitting perfectly still, staring at the crosswalk. Something about his posture stopped her. The way he sat, the angle of his head. It reminded her of waiting. She stood there, several feet away, studying him. He didn't beg, didn't approach, just sat. Their eyes met for a brief second. She saw something in his expression she couldn't name. He saw her too, looked right at her, then turned his attention back to the empty crosswalk. Margaret felt her throat tighten. She didn't know why. The crossing signal changed. She should have walked. Instead, she stood frozen, watching this scarred, forgotten dog wait for something that clearly wasn't coming. Finally, she turned away and took the long route home. Margaret couldn't stop thinking about the dog. That night, she barely slept. The next morning, she packed an extra piece of toast in a small bag, told herself she was being ridiculous. But at 6:10, she walked toward 5th and Maple. He was there, same spot, same position. She stopped about 10 feet away, set the toast on the ground, and walked off quickly. He didn't move toward it. The next morning, the toast was gone. She brought a hard-boiled egg, left it, walked away. This became her routine. Every morning, small offerings left at a distance. For 2 weeks, the dog never approached while she was there, never acknowledged her, just kept watching that crosswalk. Margaret started to feel foolish. "Why am I doing this?" she whispered to herself one morning. Then one day, he wasn't there. Her chest seized with unexpected panic. She waited 15 minutes. Nothing. She felt the loss sharper than she'd expected. But the next morning, he was back. This time, when she set down a piece of chicken, he glanced at her, just briefly, then back to his vigil. It wasn't much, but it was something. She started arriving earlier, standing a little closer, not talking, just being near someone else who understood what it meant to wait for something that wouldn't return. One morning, she sat down on the curb, 20 feet from him. They waited together in silence, two creatures who'd lost what mattered most. The dog's ear twitched in her direction. He didn't move closer, but he didn't move away either. It happened so gradually, Margaret almost missed it. One morning, she realized she'd woken up before her alarm, wanted to get to the corner. She started packing 2 breakfasts, one for him, one for herself. They ate on opposite sides of the intersection, silent companions. The dog began sitting closer, not beside her, but closer, maybe 12 feet instead of 20. She noticed he limped less on the days she came, or maybe she just noticed him more. She started talking, quiet words, about Daniel, about the route they used to walk, about how empty everything had become. The dog's ear would swivel toward her voice. She didn't expect him to understand, but saying the words out loud to someone who wouldn't judge, wouldn't offer empty comfort, it helped. She trimmed the wild garden one afternoon, just a little. The dog was there the next morning as always, but when she sat down, he'd shifted another foot closer. Margaret smiled, her first real smile in months. She couldn't remember the last time she'd felt needed. The dog still watched the crosswalk, but now, sometimes, he also watched her. It was raining the morning it happened. Margaret almost stayed home, but she thought of him waiting alone. She went. He was there, soaked through. When she sat down, he stood, limped over, and rested his head on her knee. She froze. Then her hand moved to his wet fur. They stayed like that, 2 broken things, finally less alone. Sometimes the ones we save are saving us too. And sometimes love looks like showing up every day, even in the rain.